Hello, Seeker Squad. Today's story is entitled Stay Out of the Woods. However, this story does not begin in the woods. It begins with a lady walking through an estate sale when a hiking backpack catches her eye. She decides to buy the backpack and she brings it home. While going through the compartments, she finds something that looks like a diary. Thinking that this diary may be somebody's personal belongings at that house. The next day, she goes back to the house to try to return this diary. The lady who answers the doors tells her that the estate sale was for her grandmother, and her grandmother was a bit of a hoarder, so she has no idea where this backpack came from or who this diary may belong to. So if she would like, she may keep it, as finding the owner would be nearly impossible. She decides to keep the diary and she goes back home. And she says, since I have this diary, let me read it. And maybe I can find the owner. And that's where this story begins. The following is what she read in the diary. The man's body lie motionless on the trail. He's not breathing. It seems he has passed away. The body will have to be moved. This task will not be easy, especially for a 5'4" woman with no help and no gurney. I tried to drag him towards camp as soon as I found him, but I only succeeded in twisting his legs over each other horribly. The human body seems so wrong when it does not feel pain. This man's body smells of death, and moving it only made it worse. The smell will bring in the animals, and there is still no sign of Ira or Bill. I used Ira's foam sleeping mat to drag the body. It took me an hour to drag him 30 yards, but now the foam mat is all torn up. I'm wondering if it was worth it. At first, I took the sign of him as a good thing, another human. Maybe we're close to civilization, but now I'm not so sure. There are no signs of what made him pass away. No claw marks, no wounds. What could have caused this? He is stoutly built, but with a bagginess to his physique, leaving me to believe that he was starving. I don't think he was attacked, and that's a good thing. If he had been, the logical thing would have been to move camp, but then Ira and Bill would have come back to nothing. I'm more afraid of being separated from them than I am of anything else. I spent all day yesterday stripping and burying Gary. He was shorter in stature, but the clothes should fit Bill just fine. He had smaller feet, so I'm keeping the socks for myself. They were new, blue, and made of wool. Everything else was new too. New shoes, new windbreaker. None of it quite right for someone trekking out this far. Even his pants were nicely pleated with a nice sheen. I washed all the clothes down by the creek and laid them out in the sunlight to dry, but they still smell of death, even to the point where the smell might be on me. I started a fire, but no returning smoke signals. I'm worried for Bill and Ira. More for Ira than Bill. Bill's an outdoorsman. He's the one who found this trail. He always finds a way. Bill came back today. He took his time coming through the trees. I got scared, and I almost fired upon him. But he clapped, and I clapped back. And then she yelled out that he was injured. It was near the cave where Lillian passed. He got caught in a slide and buried up to his waist, and his foot got wedged between the boulders. He couldn't move for days. He said at night the whistlers would come by, but he was sure he did not get spotted. He had to spend 2 nights out there within sight of Lillian's cave before he was well enough to trek back. 2 nights out there, all alone, with the whistlers. I boiled the water as I listened to his story. I gave him aspirin from the man's backpack. His foot needed to be wrapped, but I did not think it was broken. He slid his pack towards me. Inside was salmon berries, and mushrooms. We did not eat the mushrooms because I did not trust them. I told him we need to stop splitting up. He nodded in agreement and told me we should start thinking about hiking out of here. Just pick a direction and go. I told him when Ira gets back, that's what we'll do. He motioned his lips as if he was going to say something, but didn't know if he should. What? I asked. He did nothing but shook his head. It's been 10 days since Ira left. I woke up this morning to a startling noise. I thought it was a whistler, but it was just Bill crying over Gary's grave. I yelled at him for waking me up and making so much noise. He just looked back at me hurt and said, "I'm sorry. I just feel so bad and afraid. I don't know what we're going to do if the weather gets much worse. Hiking out of here will not be an option. There's been no sign of rescue, no planes, no helicopters, no smoke. If Ira was here, he would know what to do, and he would tell us a story to get our mind off of things. He's a registered nurse. He doesn't panic." I apologized to Bill last night, but he just shook it off like it was nothing. So I apologized again to make sure that he heard it and he knew I meant it. He said, "Well, I apologize to you. We should have never left you alone." And he just looked into my eyes sadly. And I imagined he was thinking of all these things that have happened these past weeks and that he had the same guilt that I felt. It was our research that brought everyone out here, and our recklessness and our curiosity that was to blame. He just sat there and stared in my eyes, and he leaned in and kissed me. Finally, I kissed him back. We just laid there and made love in the tent. I don't know why. I've never cheated on Ira before. I've never even thought of it. But this did not feel wrong in the moment. I just felt something. Not lust. More of a homesickness. Free of pain and worry. It just felt right in the moment. But now that it's over, neither one of us can stand next to each other. He spent the night sleeping by the fire. This morning, all he did was haul wood and water, barely pausing to even acknowledge me. I don't think it'll happen again. I don't think either of us will tell Ira. It's late, and we hear whistlers in the distance. Bill says he hears 8, but I don't know. There could be dozens. We put the fire out and headed to the tent. Crouched inside, Bill puts himself between me and the sound. I don't think he knows why he does it, but it doesn't matter. We will not be sleeping tonight. Ira is back, but his coat is all ripped and his hat is gone. He is not speaking. I would call it shock, but he is the only one with medical training and a knowledge of this stuff. I don't know what to make of him. He walks and moves fine, but he does not look at me. He does not seem to see me. I feel so guilty. I'm the reason we're all out here. Every time I look up, I see Bill staring at me, trying to communicate without speaking, but all I can see is the fear and shame. Ira is not doing well. We zip him up in the man's jacket and put him to sleep. He seems exhausted, but he will barely close his eyes to rest. Ira hasn't improved much, but he is sleeping now and eating a little. I hiked a mile north today and got a porcupine for dinner. Bill is setting up a smoker so we can save the meat. He's getting serious about hiking out of here, but I told him I don't know how we can do it with Ira in this state. He told me he made it back here, didn't he? He'll snap out of it. Maybe he will. Neither of us has speculated about what Ira saw. All we know is he was on the south side of this mountain. Bill has said we should head west, all the way to the river, and then follow it south. If he's right about where he thinks we are, we will hit Red Hill soon. There's a lodge there, with a few permanent residents, or so the helicopter pilot told us. If anyone has been looking for us, they will have certainly looked at Red Hill. So that's where we should head. Ira is recovering, and not a moment too soon. I woke this morning with his arms around me, and the look on his face said he knew who he was and where he was. And it looked like he had something to say, but he just couldn't. I told him, take your time and be patient with yourself. It's okay. Last night was cold. It left frost on the ground. We all cuddled together for warmth while we slept. Ira between Bill and I. At one point, Bill reached over and touched my shoulder. I think we have moved past the awkwardness. We both know we were just scared. We don't have nearly enough food for the journey, but we are leaving tomorrow. Bill has a cold. Alright, Secret Squad, that's where we're going to end off today. If you'd like to see part 2 to this story and see where this journey is going, get this video to 300 likes. Remember, like, comment, share, subscribe. Or subscribe, comment, like, share. Any order you want to do it. 4 things that are very important. Keep this channel growing. Alright, you guys are the best, and I will see you in the next one.